Welcome to another episode of Money You Should Ask. I'm your host, Bob Wheeler, and in this episode, we're going to explore, question, examine, converse, dig deep, expose, laugh, and cry about the money beliefs, money blocks, and life challenges of our next guest. Turn up the volume, listen, learn, and laugh. I must say, today's podcast is sponsored by The Money Nerve, your source for financial education. The Money Nerve is releasing a new online course, The Course to Financial Freedom, coming April 2020. So be sure and check out the website, themoneynerve.com, and sign up for financial freedom today. So I'm excited because I have a guest today who is an licensed, I was going to say an acupuncturist, but it's a licensed acupuncturist,
yes, sir.
A senior universal Tao instructor, which I'll be curious about. But I would say overall, you're an entrepreneur. You are not working for the man, and you are not engaged in a 9-to-5 lifestyle. Please welcome Loren Johnson.
Thank you for having me.
I always want to say Loren Reed Johnson.
That's my middle name.
It is your middle name. So Loren Johnson, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So you have been, so you live in LA now. I mean, you live in California.
I do. I've just returned.
But you grew up in Texas?
I did. I grew up in Texas. I spent most of my life in California.
Okay.
I consider myself to have grown up and woken up in California. I went back to Texas for acupuncture school because my family's there, and it was about half the price.
Okay. And then where were you born?
I was born in Michigan.
Michigan.
The Hand.
Okay. So you've kind
of around north, south, and I did a little stint in Asheville, North Carolina. So literally like north, south, east, west.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit. So how is acupuncture? You get to stick needles in people, so that might be fun.
I'm not a sadist. It's just a very time-tested medical practice, and it really went with my yoga training, the Tao yoga, which maybe we'll get to. But it's just a really high-level medical practice.
So now, did you wake up one day when you were 6 and said, I can't wait to get needles and do something with them? Or did your parents say, we really want you to do things around yoga and needles?
Definitely
or
not.
How did that happen?
It was just a natural extension of teaching yoga for years and being a massage therapist for years.
Okay.
And I really just wanted to understand in a more medical way the Tao, which is essentially the yogic meditative evolution tradition of the Orient.
Okay. What did your parents want you to do when you were a kid? Did they have any expectations?
Yes, they did. My grandfather was a Navy SEAL, then a surgeon.
Okay.
So there was this kind of, let's do something medical. But he also told his children, don't do Western medicine, because he could see kind of the writing on the wall with profit motive, you might say. And I don't know about that. So there was some pressure to do something that you made a lot of money doing. Happiness was really not in that equation. Just make a lot of money.
Just make a lot of money.
That's what they wanted.
You don't have to be happy.
You don't have to be happy. Yeah, so, just get wealthy.
Now, do you today equate happiness with money, or happiness with, what do you equate happiness with?
I don't, to answer the question, first of all, because I've seen a lot of people, including my grandfather, I would even say, that they had a lot of money, but they didn't have the happiness. Because most of the people I know that really make a lot of money tend not to have enough time to take enough care of themselves to be happy. So I wouldn't say those two are necessarily connected, but obviously there has to be a balance, because if you're on the street and you can't afford to feed yourself, that's not very joy creating either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, was your mom happy around money, or what did your mom tell you when you were a kid? What do you remember, the lesson?
About money? Well, so my grandfather being a surgeon, my mom, was kind of like country club lifestyle. And so she basically had a lot of wealthy men around her taking care of her, kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
Which was nice. It was.
Yeah.
But then she got really, really tired of strong men telling her what to do. Right? So then she just embodied her own strength, and she's a very successful landscape architect in Texas. And I really saw her blossom just with that freedom. And so, and then maybe that set an example for me to do my own thing, like you said, being an entrepreneur. And just having my own business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were a kid, did you get anything you wanted? Could you say, I want this? And then
I was spoiled rotten.
You were spoiled rotten?
Yeah.
So what you asked for it, you got it?
Pretty much. And growing up, you don't think when you're spoiled that you're spoiled. Woe is me. But in retrospect, I'm like, I wanted for nothing. I don't know anything about suffering,
Wow. And did you have to save? Did you have to get practical about things? I mean, was any of that education passed on to you about
A little bit, but that really happened more when I was out on my own, which was weeks after high school. I moved to LA from Texas, and then I kind of was dose of reality. Like, dude, you gotta save, you gotta plan for the future. It's not just trust fund life.
Now, and was your mom super excited that you left for LA right after?
No.
What'd they say? Like,
no, you can't go.
You can't go.
But they knew I was serious, so they're like, all right, we better support you, because I'm sure I don't have to tell you what happens to young men coming to LA, and I mean, it could potentially eat young men for breakfast.
Right.
So I think she knew that enough to all right, so they helped me for like the first year just with rent and basics, and then I did, I was a model for a while. I was a Gap model. I did that kind of lifestyle, and I took the money I made and went through yoga training and massage training, and so. But I was really fortunate to have parents that helped me. That first year.
And why? What did you just get tired of the modeling lifestyle? I mean, could be glamorous.
I didn't mind the lifestyle, because I do yoga. I'm plant-based for 20 years, and it's just like, I don't mind. Because I feel like when you take care of yourself, you look good. If you want to look good, you got to feel good. So I didn't mind that. What went with it to get the job, kind of like casting couch level, that pressure, which I never gave into, by the way. That's kind of what did it for me. I was like, we'll give you this job, but here it is. And I was like, sorry.
Not today.
And nothing personal. I understand that's kind of how things work.
Right.
That's what they kept saying. That's how things work. And plus my call to kind of evolve myself with the yogic lifestyle and all of that got really strong. So I just, again, I put that money into cultivating myself.
Okay. And what has given you the pathway, the energy, the wherewithal to say, this is the course I want to go on? Like, how do you trust that this is where I want to land?
Well, in terms of my life path and becoming what I became, my first job in LA was as a weightlifting coach, because I was really into sports, ice hockey and martial arts and stuff growing up. And it just as a natural extension of that, I was like, I know how to bulk up, but I don't really know much about like health. I don't know how to take, immune system support, and let alone the higher calling of, you could say, the soul or consciousness to evolve. So it was just a natural extension of just being a fitness coach. And then I got into yoga and the more time-tested paths of fitness, you could say.
Okay. Yeah. And then you've done some extensive studying of massage, and you've gone to Thailand and learning from all the masters. And what was the motivation there? Was just wanting to have as much information, or?
Well, so I was a massage therapist, and then I recognized after getting massage in Thai town that this is the ultimate massage. It's just like, it's all in there. The yoga, the acupressure, the massage, the stretching.
The pain.
Well, I mean,
good pain, but
you're getting walked on. Yeah, but I mean, for massage though, it's pretty mellow. Yeah. Like shiatsu, Japanese version of that, tends to be more hardcore.
Okay.
Which I was interested in learning too, but Thai massage really lights went off.
Yeah.
Also, I was getting really into meditation. And Thailand is the longest unbroken lineage of culture in the world. So yes, China's older, India's older, but they were occupied. Thailand didn't have that problem, basically.
Okay.
They preserved their culture longer than anyone else. And that includes Buddhism. That's when the Muslim rule was finally kicked out of the primary influence of India. The monks in Sri Lanka had to go back to Thailand to learn Buddhism, even though it originated in India. Okay. So in other words, they had a very pure strain of Buddhism. So when I went there, I learned Thai massage, and I also wanted to learn Buddhist meditation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then what compels you to get into the acupuncture?
Right. So, I became a student and subsequently instructor, and now senior instructor under the most famous Taoist in the world, Grandmaster Montauk Chia. Okay. And is it okay if we talk about sexual energy?
You can talk about sexual energy.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah,
okay, because most yoga traditions, even the tantric and ones that deal with sexual energy, there's this right-hand path, left-hand path. Okay. They just don't address sex. It's all impure. Anyway, so the Tao doesn't have that problem. Yeah. And the first time I went to train with Master Chia, I mean, he didn't say a word. He just stands up on the stage and just through his clothes, very tastefully, just pulled on his lingam and goes, and just started stretching himself out. I was like, I found my teacher. I found him. And so I just through the, and it's not that I'm just only wanting sex, but just to integrate that aspect into our being, because most people are fragmented. There's a
They
big
are.
disconnect, sex, heart, and so I wanted that integration. And so as a natural extension of practicing the Tao, I learned acupuncture because it's the medical branch of the Tao.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is this kind of conversation you would have with your mom? Would you tell her about this kind of?
Yes, frankly, my mom fortunately was very open that way, and I really am grateful. I kind of had two moms, my mom and my grandmother, and they were so just, look, whatever's going on with you, just tell me, and that conversation was there, and I didn't have to,
Right.
And I'm just so grateful for that, because so many people get shamed into being somebody they don't want to be, and they
Right.
never grow out of it. So I
Right.
owe a lot to the feminine presence in my life.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
And where do you want to be 5 years from now with all that you've got going on? Is there a goal?
There's a goal. Process versus goal, but I still have a goal, and that's service. I really want to be of service, because we've always, we know this is a mortal engagement, this human experience, but like there's so many challenges on us. Now the pressure, I call it toxicity pressure. I mean, just quick soundbite, 10 years ago, on average, there was 10 pollutants that were over the threshold of what's safe. Now there's over 500 just in 10 years.
Wow.
It's like, how are we going to survive if you really have the medical lens? You're like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So that's why I just really try to be of service and support, because that the only thing we can take with us, I mean, just to bring it to the ultimate through the veil of what we call death, is our virtue.
Yeah.
So for me, that looks like being of service.
And do you remember that early on?
Well, I mean, again, my grandfather was a medical guy, so I mean that was always in the family. But I don't think he was quite as virtue centric around it. It was like,
Right.
well, let's make money and so
Right.
forth. So, but I do always remember wanting to help people. Like I feel that's when I'm the strongest. Like I'm like, I know what I can do for you, kind of
Right.
a thing. But most people have an easier time giving than receiving, I've come to find out.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not alone there.
Yeah, I think that's true for a lot of people.
Yeah, because I'm controlling what I'm doing versus just sitting here. What are you going to do, right?
Ah,
Yeah, deer in the headlights.
I don't want to receive it. Let me
give to you.
Let me give.
And I've noticed that with people, because I work with a lot of people that are very successful, and they're like power brokers and stuff. And it's like, it's amazing, like to surrender sometimes takes so much effort.
Right.
Like to do nothing takes a lot sometimes.
It is.
So
It's hard.
Interesting.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Do you, as a child,
Yeah.
do you remember any early memories around money?
Oh, yeah. I hated it.
You hated money.
I hated money.
Why'd you hate it?
I just, because like my dad never had time to hang out with me because he was busy making money.
Right.
Or, it just always, it's the root of all evil today. The song Money by Pink Floyd. It's just,
Right.
that was my perception. I'm not saying
Right.
that that's correct
Right.
or that I
It's just,
still
that's the
maintain
story.
it. But
Right.
that was the meaning that I gave it then, because it just seemed like it was the root of the suffering in my family. And it was like, it just seemed like that was kind of the problem was money.
And do you have a memory of a big financial regret where, oh man.
If I would have. Yes, actually, when I got my first, I did 4 campaigns for the Gap, and when I got the first one, it was the most lucrative. And if I would have just put my money into gold, I'm slapping myself, because it was so cheap then compared to what it is now.
Right.
But no, it's all meant to be. I was supposed to put it into teaching yoga.
Right.
So not really.
So do you have a crystal ball so that you know when to invest in gold?
No. If I did, that's not really how, what we call ESP, from my humble perception, is just paying attention.
Right.
And if we were to there's a lot of people that go to sensitives and say, okay, tell me about the stock market. And, I don't think that's really the point of, even Buddha said, I'm going to teach you this practice and you're going to get psychic power, but that's not the reason I'm teaching you this practice.
Right.
So it would almost, in my optic, be an abuse.
Okay.
Of that power. But the short answer is no, I don't. Or I'd probably be really wealthy by now.
Okay. So money is not the motivating factor in all that you do?
Definitely not. It's simply a means to continue to do what I do.
Yeah.
Just to pay the bills. And I'm very much, my favorite hexagram in the I Ching is modesty. Just, simple. The universe, how does it go? It goes, the creative works to empty what is full and offer abundance to what is modest. And I feel like in the West, because we're so, I don't want to say spoiled and sound judgmental, but we kind of don't,
We have a lot of goodies.
we have a lot of goodies, and it's really easy to forget that. And I just try to I don't need 100 of those things. I just try to have just what I need. And I'm trying to kind of operate on that mode. And I feel like culturally we're kind of going towards that anyway. So I'm just trying to kind of adjust to the curve before it happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as a kid, do you remember anything happening where you did something that had a consequence, around money or having things or wanting things, or and then just being like, okay, that's going to be a decision that's going to have an impact on the decisions I make in my future.
I do. I remember Mom took me to the toy store because I wanted to get a video game called Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay.
Because I had played it at my cousin's house and I thought it was just phenomenal.
It was the bomb.
It was the bomb. And I was so excited that it was only like $20 because back in the day, like a single Nintendo game was like $60.
Okay.
Like $20. And I go to buy it. We bought it, we leave the store and I open it up and it's like, it wasn't a Nintendo. It was like some other game cartridge. And I'm like, oh, so we go back and we have that, but it's $60. And I had saved up just about $60. And my mom, it was like one of my earliest money memories. And she allowed me to make the choice. And I wanted it so bad, but I was like, I just don't want to spend $60. And we left the store and she was just like floating with pride. She was like, honey, I think you just made a really good decision. And I realized that like, okay, I was kind of like, I just didn't want to take away from my future self, just
right.
for that. So I felt like that was kind of a moment where I realized like that there is some benefit to the saving thing and just mindful.
Yeah.
It was just a mindful moment, but I feel like I kind of grew in that moment.
And did you ever go back and play Ghostbusters at your cousins'
My
or your
cousin's
friends?
house. By the time I went back there was like some other game. It was like Mortal Kombat by then or something.
Right.
So
So
it's like,
it
it was
really-
probably a good affirmation that I didn't waste my money on Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What kind of car do you drive today, and how did you choose that car?
I drive a Toyota because my favorite I Ching hexagram is modesty.
Okay.
It's 20 years old actually. I'm ready for a new one, but it's like there's something about like understated for me that just, if I was like blinging, maybe an Acura, but like, I really just like, it's the best car I've ever had. It's just, I've driven it back and forth across the country so many times. I just like functionality.
Did you pay cash? Did you finance it?
It was a very, I could have paid cash, but I did want to do a little financing to build up my credit because I've always been the kind of guy where if I will never buy something unless I have money. Even acupuncture school, which is the better part of $100,000, I saved up for that. And as a result, my credit is not really as good as I've developed it to be by doing some. So in other words, I did put a little cash down, but I paid it off quick for the lease that I had, or not a lease. However they called it, it was, I paid it off quickly.
Okay, so that's
just
nice.
to build up some credit.
Accelerated.
Yes. Yeah, I did it fast, but I wanted to go through that process to build up some credit, for lack of a better.
Have you ever had a large amount of credit card debt?
Never.
Never. Do you have a credit card?
I do have credit cards.
Now, are you of the mindset you got to get miles, you get points?
No, I only use it for, maybe I should, and but I just use it for easy record keeping of my business.
Yeah.
But I don't do it for any point accruing strategy.
All right. What's the biggest, do you remember like the biggest amount of money that you ever got at one time?
It was probably the Gap commercials because I did 4 campaigns and you got a little bit more than like 10 grand for each one. So like when those residuals came in that year, they're just like these big checks. And it's like, and then and I see how it happens to a lot of Hollywood guys. They just like, they spend way more money than they think than they have. And and then they buy a house and car and all of a sudden it's like, okay, where's the money? And so, and then and then of course everybody like flocks to you and like all of a sudden you have so many friends. Yeah, sure, let me pay for dinner. And and it's like, I got a nice dose of like kind of what that's like. And that's partly why my focus and therefore my energy started gravitating toward modesty. I just want a modest lifestyle.
Well, it's in LA, it is definitely easier in Hollywood and entertainment. It's easy to get seduced by the good life or the fun life.
Definitely.
And I'm just always amazed of watching that balance because I'll have clients that spend way beyond their means.
That's right.
And then the series gets canceled.
Yes.
And then they're selling the house. They're selling the RV that they way overpaid for.
That's right.
And
I try to plan for my future self. I'm like, you wouldn't want your child to inherit that.
Right.
I think if my future self is that, I'm like, well, so I really just try to, that's why I don't have debt. And I'm fortunate. I'm so grateful. I say that with humility that some people have to go on it to pay the bills.
Right. No, for sure.
So, I save and I do my best.
If money were no option, what would you do differently in your life?
I would be what you call, and I wouldn't be like I probably wouldn't be like a religious zealot version of this, but I would definitely put some focus into prepping. I would have land that is sustainable. I would have stores of water. I would have the essentials that we need to live off of. I don't even mean, because I mentioned earlier, like gold and all that. No, I'm talking about like water,
Basics.
food, like, basics, because we're so dependent on the system that's actually pretty fragile.
I think it's a very
fragile. I
very
mean,
fragile.
one thing happens over here in the whole world, and so yeah, I would just want sustainability, I guess, is probably the best way to respond to that. Yeah, I want a greenhouse, fresh air, and again, 500 pollutants. It's like, damn, so I'd want to just have a sustainable place, maybe off the beaten path, and just live the clean lifestyle.
Is it important to own property?
Not for the sake of owning property, but for the sake of it being one of the most stable investments that I'm aware of, I would say yes. But it's also a big legal thing, because a lot of times, fine, you don't own the mineral rights, and the bank can always take it. So it's like the idea of even ownership and a provably impermanent, Buddhists would say impermanent reality or constantly changing. It's like, well, but from the standpoint of the lifestyle I want to lead, yeah, I think you need to have property to grow food, to have a place. Yeah.
When you go out for dinner with a group of people,
which I don't do, because most places I'm so strict plant-based, but yeah.
Okay, but let's say they have.
Let's say I did.
Yeah, let's say you did. How do you split the bill?
I usually just either just do it, or
You just pay.
I just pay
For everybody.
Yeah. I try not to put myself, I'm a pretty generous person, and I try not to put myself in positions where I can be taken advantage of, because it will happen if I let it.
Yeah.
So I'm just really mindful of boundaries that way. But that aside, I'm just super generous. I don't wait for anybody to pay.
You just.
Yeah, I just do it.
But if somebody doesn't let you pay, and you have to split the bill, how are you going to work it out?
I mean,
Do you
I
just
think
divide it by 5. Do you?
I think communication is just basically, you can never have enough. And I don't mean like neurotic, like tell me what you're doing because I'm bored. I mean, just truly, how do you feel about this? And let's do that.
Right.
So I'm just like, how do you feel about this? Do you want us to split it? And how much do you tip? And, just talk to the guy.
Right.
Yeah. Generally is how I would.
Do you find it's pretty easy to be direct with people when you're talking about money? Like for yourself, if you're asking a client for money, if you're having a conversation about splitting the bill.
Easy? Not really.
It's not easy.
Generally not. It's amazing how people, like the gravity that just immediately in the money conversation. I am of the opinion, this might serve the intentions of this interview, which I'm grateful for, and thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I've come to the opinion, and it is just that money is the new God. There's nothing that we spend more energy, focused time, in mass on the world doing than making money.
Western culture,
Worldwide,
United States,
worldwide.
Oh, you think worldwide?
That I've seen, that I know of, because I mean, I've been to Thailand, and I've got a LA, meaning Little Asia. I have a lot of just different friends from different, that's my observation from around the world, that is what we do more than anything else, more than our religion, more than our fitness, more than anything else is, what am I going to, money. That's it.
Yeah.
That's just my observation.
Right. You don't need to be happy. You just need to have lots of money.
That's it. I see so many people that trade everything for money. Their relationships, their health, their happiness, certainly their evolution. I mean, most people don't even know what the hell I mean by that.
Right.
Because we're money, that's it. That's been the world that's been put before us that we've agreed to.
And what do you think the ultimate attainment, if we're all focused on money, what is everybody trying to attain? Like, oh, I got millions of dollars. What is that nugget that everybody's trying to?
Certainty, maybe. I mean, I get it. If you got to survive before you can thrive. But where's the switch where it's like, all right, I have enough now. People can't turn it off. I've noticed.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, as you're talking about that, I'm thinking, it seems like that if I have lots and lots of money, I have a false confidence that I can control everything.
Absolutely.
Right? That if I have all the money,
absolutely,
I can control
the
everything.
golden rule.
But as we know,
that's
all the money in the world.
Yeah, you can't buy certain things.
Steve Jobs, all the money in the world.
That's right.
Couldn't take care of his health.
That's correct.
As much as he would have gladly
liked it to.
Liked it.
For sure.
Right?
And that's why I think it's a misnomer to just, that's all that matters. And, yes, do that pursuit, but just understand there's an infinity of other things going on. And from the standpoint of like the kind of one of the grandest questions of the ages, like why were we put here? I don't think written in whatever language of the God or not God or whatever that consciousness, even just a higher aspect of ourselves, put us here to do just make money.
Right.
Part of it, sure, but not only.
Right.
And that's how most people play out that game.
Well, I mean, as you were saying that, I was just thinking about it. I mean, we're probably the only species that focuses on money. I mean,
Yes.
you don't see like a pack of kangaroos. I don't know if you even see a pack of kangaroos, but you don't see a bunch of kangaroos or koala bears talking around,
making money.
Man, look at the tree I'm living in.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Or check out this bamboo that I'm, got my hands on.
Humans are crafty.
Yeah. So and everybody else and all the other species survive in the world.
That's right.
Without a whole lot of money. I mean, I know like squirrels, they store their nuts and...
I think in terms of, you still can observe, to a degree anyway, greed in the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
Like where you'll see, the alpha kind of like killing the other bear's cubs because that's not my kid or whatever. Right. So maybe you see that. But I do think part of our reason for being here is to evolve past those base emotions. Mm-hmm. So I think with money, again, I don't have a problem with it. But the excess, the greed, basically. It's one of the great poisons of the psychic and overall human realm is greed, is one of the big, big things to overcome. And I think more than anything, that gets played out in money, the money world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were talking to a bunch of high school graduates that were just about ready to leave their small towns or their big towns to get to Los Angeles and make it big, because that's the land of opportunity.
That's what I did.
Yeah. What would you tell yourself, like, or a young person?
Yeah.
Or what would you tell yourself that 18-year-old about making the big move?
I mean, I really just owe so much to like my health, because I took really good care of myself. Getting to bed on time, being vegan since 19, doing yoga every day, because people did try to take advantage of me and get me on their casting couch and all this stuff. And I was like, and I just feel like I was centered enough in my well-being that I was like, nothing personal. I just don't think that's going to serve me well here, kind of thing. So that internal compass of just my own wellness, basically, one word, I would say wellness. I also think, maybe I'm, whatever you want to say, I think family is important, and maybe not even necessarily, because a lot of people are abused in that sphere. I'm aware of a lot.
Yeah.
Community, we could say.
Community.
Somebody you can just talk to. So much healing comes out of listening. So listening for people, and I don't mean sitting here thinking about what you're going to say. True presence. There's so much healing in that. So community, well-being.
And what do you attribute the foundation of being grounded to? Was that your mom? Was that just something that innately you happened to have? Something that you developed?
Well, both. I do owe, again, as I mentioned, I owe my mom so much, and not just herself, although that would be enough. I feel very strongly that, because she married my stepdad when I was 6 or 7, and I feel like a big reason she selected him was because she knew he would be a good father for me. So I just owe so much, because she was raised by, my grandfather made the money, but, Navy SEAL. He was abusive. I mean, he had that drunk flair. I mean, he was abusive. And she, and I mean, not to disrespect my line, but like, that's just the reality. And I feel like she chose a man that, I won't say weaker. I will not say that about my stepdad. I'll say somebody that she not even could control, but like she just, wouldn't let control her.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So there was that. I feel like she didn't just let that kind of crazy alpha energy get out of hand.
Yeah. So she was very intentional. In
yeah,
her
very.
choice.
Yeah, that's a good word. So yeah, I owe a lot to my mom, a lot to so much.
Cool.
Yeah, she made some good choices.
What do you want your footprint to be, your legacy to be in this life?
Well, I do a lot of, you can probably tell already from some of the things I've said around sexuality. There's a big wound there that I'm aware of. And now you can even, because even that's kind of loaded. Wow, sex, even just relationships. Let's talk about that. I think there's a lot that I've learned and that I've kind of refined. There's really nothing new in the physical universe, but there's new integrations. And it's all about translation, because I've learned from a lot of masters where their communication's it's not that good. They don't speak English that well. So I would say what I've learned and what I teach is really supportive to relationships, because I probably don't have to tell you most of them fail nowadays. The vast majority of them. Hetero, whatever you call any relationships, it's like they're almost doomed to fail nowadays. We're just, slide right. We're just like a replaceable culture, and there's some simple ways to just connect and
just slow down.
Yeah, just chill out. What are you saying? Thank you. Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you, because I know we're getting close to the end
Okay.
here, but what I'm really hearing though is a bit of it doesn't hurt to be a little bit humble.
Definitely.
Which I definitely agree with, and that understated isn't so bad.
Yeah.
Like there's something
It's
nice about-
magnetic.
Yeah.
Because if I'm trying too hard, it's like, it's repulsive.
Right.
But if I can just wait and relax and, it has a magnetism. Didn't mean to interrupt.
That's right. You can interrupt.
Please.
It's good. And no, but really not wanting to amass debt.
Please.
Really making sure that you're living within your means.
Yeah.
And I know I don't think you said it directly, but I think some gratitude for the people that have held space for you, or your mom and other people that really have allowed you to actually be the person that you wanted to become, and not the person that they were trying to force you to become.
I feel like we're standing on the shoulders of giants in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
A lot of ways. I mean, I could elaborate on that, but yeah, I'm so grateful for the ancestors, for my teachers. Yeah.
Where can people find you on social media?
I created an Instagram account called Tao Arts. So that's a good place. There's a lot of little just short videos of little quick Thai massage sequences for relationships and solo practices. Loverskill.com is, there's a lot of free videos of, I'm probably most well known for my relationship massage, like Thai massage for relationships. So that's loverskill.com. But Tao Arts has all kinds of little free little one-offs.
And spell Tao Arts for us, because
thank you.
people get confused.
I forgot that about that. So TAO Arts, ARTS. Tao Arts, and you can go right to a bunch of little videos there on Instagram.
Oh, that is cool. Well, I appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
I want to say to our listeners, please don't forget to share the love. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search for Money You Should Ask, all one word. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher, or your favorite podcast provider, player, whatever you want to call it. And I just want to again say thank you to the Money Nerve, which sponsors this podcast. And they will be releasing in 2020, April, the new course to financial freedom. So excited about that. So check it out at themoneynerve.com. And it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, Bob. I'm grateful for you.
Thank you, sir.